Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, located on the ancestral lands of the Eno, the Sissipaha, the Shakori, Saponi, and Lumbee people in Durham, North Carolina. I'm Reverend Jacqueline Brett, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, gender, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you. If you're new to this community, and especially if you're visiting today, I invite you to introduce yourself in the chat box. You'll also find a link there that will help you to learn more about us. And we also invite you to the Inquirers class for visitors and newcomers taking place today at 12 noon on Zoom. Also, directly after today's service, everyone is invited to join the virtual coffee hour. Information on how to get to both these events will appear on your screen and in the chat box at the end of the service. You can also access both on the homepage of our website at ERUUF.org. Today is our annual poetry service, featuring the works of writers selected and presented by ERUUF members Meg Baesmith, Nancy Couts, Alicia Jones, Simon Kaplan, and Jaye Vaughn. Music today is provided by Dick Clark on cello, who it is wonderful to have you back in the sanctuary, Dick, and Kate Lewis on piano, and Pam DeLavore is our cantor. The tech team is Michelle Sager and Sean Trimble, and Steve Daniel is our sound engineer. So let us now center ourselves into this time and into the place where you are, knowing that you are not alone but together with others, also centering themselves into this time. And let us all together take a deep breath in and let it out. And we begin with our prelude, Larghetto by G.F. Handel, performed by Dick Clark and Kate Lewis. Today's opening words are called On How to Pick and Eat Poems by Phyllis Cole Day. Stop whatever it is you're doing. Come down from the attic, grab a bucket or basket and head for the light. That's where the best poems grow, and in the dappled dark. Go slow. Watch out for thorns and bears. When you find a good bush, bow to it or take off your shoes. Pluck this poem, that poem, any poem. It should slip off the stem easy, just a little tickle. No need to sniff first, judge the color, test the firmness. You can only know it's ripe if you taste. So put a poem upon your lips. Chew its pulp. Let its juice spill over your tongue. Let your reading of it teach you what sort of creature you are and the nature of the ground you walk upon. Bring your whole life out loud to this one poem. Eating one poem can save you if you're hungry enough. Take companions poem picking when you can. Visit wild and lovely and forgotten places, broken and hidden and walled up spaces. Reach into brambles, stain your skin, mash words against your teeth for love. And always leave some poems within easy reach for the next picker in kinship with the unknown. If ever you carry away more poems than you need, go on home to your kitchen and make good jam. Don't be in a rush. They're sure to keep. Some will even taste better with age, a rich batch of preserves. Store up jars and jars of jam, plenty for friends, plenty for the long howling winter, plenty for strangers, plenty for all the bread in this broken world. May the flame of our chalice this morning remind us that there is light, life, and poetry living through each one of us. And our first hymn this morning is No Longer Forward Nor Behind. Pam DeLivore will lead us in song, and the words will appear on your screen. This morning, we devote our time to reflection with poetry weaving its way through our moments together. I must say, this is one of my favorite services of the year because reading and even sometimes writing poetry are spiritual practices of mindfulness and evoking the presence of the sacred through metaphor, stories, and symbols and poetry that cause me to pause and reflect beyond the words on the page, to reach into the still, quiet places within my own being. There is always a collection of poems on my desk, by my bedside, or in my bag. As with many of us here, I wrote my first poems as a young child and connected deeply with poetry in an unconscious recognition that a poem, through its economy of words, had the capacity to tell a story and use language in such a way to get to the heart of the matter, to get to the heart of my heart. Writers Phyllis Cole Day and Ruby R. Wilson say that some poems are good medicine. They soothe our anxieties and self-doubt, restore our balance, boost our energy and strength, help us cope with stress, or even heal. Such poems we tend to keep and share. We dog-ear their pages. We copy them down in our journals. We mull them over in times of reflection. We send them to loved ones and friends. We read them aloud to mark special days, to observe sacred days, to endure sad days. We utter them like prayers. Phyllis Cole Day and Ruby Wilson. Most of us are sorely in need of healing these days, whether of the body, the mind, the spirit, or heart. We have all been through so much these past 15 months. A time of challenge and difficulty in one form or another for both the young and eldest amongst us. And now, many of us have begun to unmask ourselves, to get out and about, visiting places and spaces and people we have not seen in quite some time. And we are now sometimes dealing with an awkwardness in what used to be very simple human interactions. As those who are sharing during our service today, each selected their readings independently of one another and then brought them forward, a theme seemed to resonate. The sense that even as we were beginning to head out and about in our lives unmasked, or were living in the realization of just how much some of us live lives on the front line for so many others, there seemed to be among our presenters a strong desire to reach inward, to honor that inward space and the life living through us, despite all else that has happened, that is still happening. Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Robert Penn Warren wrote, "The poem is not a thing we see. It is rather a light by which we may see, and what we see is life." What is offered to you today are poems in the spirit of good medicine, of healing. The invitation is for you to reflect in the light of them. Perhaps you'll hear a line that will inspire or lift your heart, or a phrase that becomes a light by which to see. You'll hear the words of Roger Keys, Ellay Jones, Alicia Keys, no relation to Roger, Mary Oliver, Pablo Neruda, and Oren Jay Sofer. And so let us all begin by entering into a time of meditation on Eagle Poem by the current U.S. Poet Laureate, Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Let us rest in a moment of silence as we contemplate this, the kindness of all things. We lift up the joys and concerns of each beloved in our community, the new births, graduations, and our newfound appreciation on being together, live and in person, the exchanges of a simple touch or a hug. And we hold in our hearts this morning Juanita Johnson and her children and grandchild on the loss of her husband, Earl Johnson, who was also a member of our ERUUF community. Earl died peacefully on Tuesday morning after a long illness. And poet Joy Harjo continues, breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it is interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees, wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Love, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you.
You touched me today with a quiet nod at the back of my neck in a tone that gave nothing away. The source of my pain was no secret. As determined feelers shot straight to the core of previous damage from those carelessly disbelieving the need they'd been shown, or unaware, insensitive to the gift of a healing wound now in disrepair. Is this different from before? Of course it's not. It's why you're here. Why they all came to push me deeper, challenge my brain, take a chance. It just might soothe the fear. A manuscript of adoration and praise peeked through, though the file is always kept closed, for it holds the truth of a most treacherous path, a vessel that's new, but a spirit so old and more tired than any here could ever know. Then a cleansing drop, universal love, tells a story, but not mine alone, but of all person kind, spirit kind, and those not so kind. Of wounds parallel, new flesh says it has festered for too long. But souls aged through the process of mining and time, of chipping away, of buffing the rind on a calcified gem, with a need to break free into the light of tomorrow. It's a long ago planted seed, repotted each time the new vessel breaks. Where have you been? Oh, how I've missed you. The reunion is a prayer, the mantra familiar as a cooling balm, relieving the pain until a container is needed no more. Oh, yes, it's been far too long.
Gus is the cat at the theatre door. His name, as I ought to have told you before, is really Asparagus. That's such a fuss to pronounce that we usually call him just Gus. His coat's very shabby, he's thin as a rake, and he suffers from palsy that makes his paw shake. Yet he was, in his youth, quite the smartest of cats, but no longer a terror to mice and to rats. For he isn't the cat that he was in his prime, though his name was quite famous, he says, in its time. And whenever he joins his friends at their club, which takes place at the back of the neighboring pub, he loves to regale them, if someone else pays, with anecdotes drawn from his palmiest days. For he once was a star of the highest degree. He's acted with Irving, he's acted with Tree, and he likes to relate his success on the halls, where the gallery once gave him 7 cat calls. But his grandest creation, as he loves to tell, was Fire Fraw Fiddle, the fiend of the fell. I have played, so he says, every possible part, and I used to know 70 speeches by heart. I'd extemporize back chat, I knew how to gag, and I knew how to let the cat out of the bag. I knew how to act with my back and my tail. With an hour of rehearsal, I never could fail. I'd a voice that would soften the hardest of hearts, whether I took the lead or in character parts. I have sat by the bedside of poor little Nell when the curfew was rung, then I swung on the bell. In the pantomime season, I never fell flat, and I once understudied Dick Whittington's cat. But my grandest creation, as history will tell, was Fire Fraw Fiddle, the fiend of the fell. Then, if someone will give him a toothful of gin, he will tell how he once played a part in East Lynne. At a Shakespeare performance, he once walked on Pat when some actor suggested the need for a cat. He once played a tiger, could do it again, which an Indian colonel pursued down a drain. And he thinks that he still can, much better than most, produce blood-curdling noises to bring on the ghost. And he once crossed the stage on a telegraph wire to rescue a child when a house was on fire. And he says, "Now then, kittens, they do not get trained as we did in the days when Victoria reigned. They never get drilled in a regular troop. They think they are smart just to jump through a hoop." And he'll say as he scratches himself with his claws, "Well, the theatre's certainly not what it was. These modern productions are all very well, but there's nothing to equal, from what I hear tell, that moment of mystery when I made history as Fire Fraw Fiddle, the fiend of the fell."
She was walking in the street, looked up and noticed he was nameless, he was homeless. She asked him his name and told him what hers was. He gave her a story about life. With a glint in his eye and a corner of a smile, one conversation, a simple moment, the things that change us if we notice, when we look up sometime. They said I would never make it, but I was built to break the mold. The only dream that I've been chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers, trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line knowing they can't run. This goes out to the underdog. Keep on keeping at what you love. You'll find that someday, soon enough, you will rise up. Rise up. She's riding in a taxi back to the kitchen, talking to the driver about his wife and his children, on the run from a country where they put you in prison for being a woman and speaking your mind. She looked in his eyes in the mirror and he smiled. One conversation, a single moment. The things that change us if we notice, when we look up sometime. They said I would never make it, but I was built to break the mold. The only dream that I've been chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers, trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line, knowing they don't get to run. This goes out to the underdog. Keep on keeping on at what you love. You'll find someday, soon enough, you will rise up. Rise up. Yeah.
Isn't it plain, the sheets of moss, except that they have no tongues, could lecture all day if they wanted about spiritual patience? Isn't it clear the black oaks along the path are standing as though they were the most fragile of flowers? Every morning I walk like this around the pond, thinking, if the doors of my heart ever close, I am as good as dead. Every morning so far, I'm alive. And now the crows break off from the rest of the darkness and burst up into the sky, as though all night they had thought of what they would like their lives to be and imagined their strong, thick wings. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha before he died. I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness to send up the first signal, a white fan streaked with pink and violet, even green. An old man, he lay down between two sala trees. And he might have said anything, knowing it was his final hour. The light burns upward. It thickens and settles over the fields. Around him, the villagers gathered and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its ocean of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills like a million flowers on fire. Clearly, I'm not needed, yet I feel myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly, beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd.
You're the engine that makes all things go. You're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile in my face when all you know is hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart. Know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if this helps, but good job. You're doing a good job. A good job. You're doing a good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. Matter, yes. 6 a.m, as soon as you walk through the door, everyone needs you again. The world's out of order. It's not as sound when you're not around. All day on your feet, hard to keep that energy, I know. When it feels like the end of the road, you don't let go. You just press forward. You're the engine that makes all things go. Always in disguise, my hero. I see a light in the dark, smile in my face. When we all know it's hard, there's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart. Know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if this helps, but good job. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter. The mothers, the fathers, the teachers that reach us, strangers to friends that show up in the end, from the bottom to the top, the listeners that hear us. This is for you. You make me fearless. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter. Yes.
En la noche entraremos a robar una rama florida. Pasaremos el muro en las tinieblas del jardín ajeno, dos sombras en la sombra. Aún no se fue el invierno y el manzano aparece convertido de pronto en cascada de estrellas olorosas. En la noche entraremos hasta su tembloroso firmamento y tus pequeñas manos y las mías robarán las estrellas. Y sigilosamente a nuestra casa en la noche y en la sombra entrará con tus pasos el silencioso paso del perfume y con pies estrellados el cuerpo claro de la primavera. In the night, we shall go in to steal a flowering branch. We shall climb over the wall in the darkness of the alien garden, two shadows in the shadow. Winter is not yet gone, and the apple tree appears suddenly changed into a cascade of fragrant stars. In the night, we shall go in up to its trembling firmament, and your little hands and mine will steal the stars. And silently, to our house in the night and the shadow. With your steps will enter perfume's silent step, and with starry feet, the clear body of spring.
I care too much for you and the daffodil to cut its stem from her root in the earth. There are other things I could give you. A smooth gray stone worn by the sea says much in the palm of your hand. Still, the most precious thing I cannot give you, time spent with your own quiet heart, silently loving itself. So I invite you, give yourself time, an hour or two to wander. Morning and evening light are best for this. Give your feet time to find their way among the stones and roots until you begin to see each tree as an old friend you've been longing to greet. Give your fingers time to unfold their wonder like the new spring buds, opening their hands to the unfamiliar cool air, trusting the memory of the sun's warm touch. Stop long enough to learn their tongue, to hear their fresh and gentle voice singing from the brown husk of winter. Visit long enough to read the smile glowing on their lips as they poke through the ground, press skyward, and unfurl their skin. Go to the woods and breathe there. Place your hands into the burning cold of a spring stream. Let the water wash over your face. See the wind ripple and melt the silver surface of a dark pond. Lie flat across a broad boulder and let your belly touch the sky. Open the world with your arms and the sun will greet you. You who are becoming spring, silently loving yourself.
We weave the fabric of beloved community as we draw our circle ever wider and commit ourselves to offering what we can through our time, talent, and treasure. In this moment, we take up our morning offering and invite you to participate by using the link you'll find in the chat box or by going to ERUUF.org and clicking on the Give button at the top of the page. Dick Clark and Kate Lewis will provide our music for the offering. Allegretto quasi menuetto from Sonata No. 1 for cello and piano by Johannes Brahms. I want to burst into applause. Thank you. Thank you both. So many gifts we have here, and we express our thanks and gratitude for all the gifts received by this community, given by this community, including gifts of love, cello music, poetry, and the gift of life living through us. Our closing hymn today is Just as Long as I Have Breath. And Pam de Lavore, another gift, will lead us in song, and the words will appear on your screen.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Our closing words are once again from Phyllis Cole Day, who recommends and reminds us to put a poem upon your lips, chew its pulp, let its juice spill over your tongue. Let your reading of it teach you what sort of creature you are and the nature of the ground you walk upon. Bring your whole life out loud to this one poem. Eating one poem can save you if you're hungry enough. Go in peace, my friends. Go in love. And may our lives be a blessing.